Have you ever wondered why the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah remains one of the most discussed events in biblical history? These cities, known for their decadence and corruption, were the stage of a divine intervention that marked humanity. But do we truly understand the real reason behind this story? Or are we missing valuable lessons? Today we'll explore the secrets, hidden messages, and consequences of this event that still echo in our society today. Hello? Welcome to our channel, Fascinating Biblical Discoveries, where we explore the deepest mysteries of history, faith, and humanity. Today, we'll uncover together the profound lessons behind the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Comment now. I want to learn from the past and show your commitment to gaining wisdom from this story. Be part of this journey and subscribe to never miss any transformative content like this. Sodom and Gomorrah are not just names of ancient cities. They have become universal symbols of decadence, corruption, and divine punishment. Located in the Jordan Valley near the Dead Sea, these cities are described in the book of Genesis as places marked by violence, greed, and immorality. But what exactly led God to decide on their destruction? The story begins with Abraham, the biblical patriarch, who received a visit from angels sent by God. They revealed that the cities were destined for destruction due to the severity of their sins. In a gesture of compassion, Abraham pleaded for them, asking God to spare the cities if even 10 righteous people were found there. Unfortunately, not even this minimum number was found. The narrative is powerful and intriguing, raising questions that still resonate today. What truly defined the injustice of Sodom and Gomorrah? Was it merely a divine judgment? Or was it also a warning to humanity about the limits of its actions? Beyond the destruction, one detail stands out: the rescue of Lot, Abraham's nephew, and his family. Lot was warned by the angels to flee and not look back. However, Lot's wife disobeyed, looked at the cities in flames, and was turned into a pillar of salt. Why did this seemingly simple act have such severe consequences? Throughout history, Sodom and Gomorrah have symbolized ethical, religious, and cultural debates. In different traditions, interpretations of the city's sins vary. Some emphasize sexual immorality, while others focus on the lack of hospitality and selfishness. And you? Have you reflected on what this story can teach us about the world we live in today? Here's a curiosity. In 2008, archaeologists discovered remains of an ancient city near the Dead Sea that might correspond to Sodom's location. Tests suggested it was destroyed by a catastrophic event, such as a meteor or seismic explosion. Could this be scientific evidence for an event described thousands of years ago? Today, Sodom and Gomorrah are much more than lost cities. They are timeless reminders of human fragility and the need to reflect on our actions. Now that we understand the general context of Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction, let's dive into the specific causes that led to this outcome and the lessons we can draw from this story. The sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. What really happened? Much is said about the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah, but what in fact marked these cities' condemnation? The Bible highlights acts of sexual immorality, violence, and lack of hospitality. However, the prophet Ezekiel sheds light on another crucial aspect. Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed, and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. Ezekiel 16:49. This verse reveals that the city's errors were not merely individual behaviors, but a selfish, arrogant society indifferent to the needs of the vulnerable. This perspective broadens our understanding, showing that the sins of Sodom were multifaceted and deeply rooted in the human heart. Lot and his family, the symbolism of their escape. Lot, Abraham's nephew, lived in Sodom with his family. He was deemed righteous enough to be saved, But salvation came with clear conditions. He had to leave everything behind and flee without looking back. The command, "Do not look back," is rich in symbolism. It represents the necessity to abandon the past, leave behind errors, and move toward the future with determination. However, Lot's wife disobeyed. Her transformation into a pillar of salt is interpreted as a powerful metaphor. The inability to break from the past can paralyze us and prevent progress. Consequences as a learning opportunity. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah is not just a narrative of punishment, but also an invitation to reflect. How do we treat others? Are we concerned with collective well-being or trapped in selfishness? What happens when a society ignores essential values like empathy and justice? Furthermore, the story warns of the consequences of our actions, not only at an individual level, but in the societal impact of what we do or fail to do. Lessons for modern times. The challenges faced by Sodom and Gomorrah are not so different from those we face today. Technological advances, the relentless pursuit of power and wealth, and emotional isolation are examples of how a society can lose its way. The story of Sodom reminds us that a balance between progress and ethics is essential for any civilization's survival. A scientific perspective, could it be a natural event? While the Bible presents the event as divine intervention, scientists suggest that Sodom and Gomorrah may have been destroyed by a natural disaster, such as a meteor explosion or volcanic activity. A fascinating discovery at Tall El Hammam, possibly Sodom's location, revealed signs of a massive explosion that vaporized the city. This prompts further reflection. Could the destruction also be a message about life's fragility and the need to respect nature and one another? Now that we've analyzed the causes and symbolism of Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction, it's time to delve into advanced interpretations and the philosophical and spiritual lessons this story has left throughout the centuries. Religious interpretation, divine justice and mercy. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah is often cited as an example of divine justice. Yet, before the final judgment, we see a significant act: Abraham interceding for the cities. He questions God, asking that the cities be spared if righteous people are found. This interaction is fascinating. It demonstrates not only Abraham's compassion, but also God's willingness to listen and engage in dialogue. Despite the tragic outcome, the story emphasizes that divine justice is balanced with mercy. This balance is a central theme in many religious traditions, highlighting that God does not punish without first offering opportunities for repentance. Philosophy, the dangers of collective selfishness. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is also a philosophical warning about the dangers of collective selfishness. When a society prioritizes pleasure, power, and material goods above all else, it becomes unsustainable. This collapse is not just physical, but also moral and spiritual. Philosophers like Augustine of Hippo argued that Sodom represents the corruption of a society disconnected from God. Modern thinkers interpret the narrative as a metaphor for any civilization that neglects ethics and the common good. Psychology, the weight of looking back. The episode of Lot's wife being turned into a pillar of salt is deeply symbolic. In psychology, looking back can be interpreted as resistance to letting go of old patterns, attachments, and regrets. This inability to move forward can paralyze our personal and emotional growth, just as the pillar of salt symbolizes the immobilization caused by clinging to the past. How many times in our lives do we hold on to what no longer serves us, fearing the unknown? Sodom and Gomorrah remind us that building something new requires the courage to leave the past behind. Cultural impact, the use of the term sodomy. The story of these cities left a profound impact on culture and language. The term sodomy, for example, became associated with negative connotations in many contexts. However, this oversimplification often obscures the narrative's true meaning, which goes far beyond individual actions to encompass social injustice, lack of empathy, and disrespect for human dignity. Ecological reflection, humanity's relationship with nature. Beyond the spiritual dimension, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah can be seen as a reminder of humanity's impact on nature. Considering scientific theories about natural events that might have led to the destruction, a lesson emerges. Ignoring nature's warnings and living destructively have inevitable consequences. This makes us ponder modern challenges such as climate change and environmental degradation. Have we learned anything since the times of Sodom? An invitation to transformation. Ultimately, Sodom and Gomorrah are an invitation to transformation. The story challenges us to reflect on how we live our lives and how we can avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. What are we building as a society? Are we caring for each other? Are we connected to what truly matters? Throughout this journey, we've seen how the story of Sodom and Gomorrah goes far beyond a simple tale of destruction. It's a profound reflection on morality, justice, society, and spirituality. But how can we connect the events of this narrative to our lives today? Recapping key points. The sins of the cities. Sodom and Gomorrah were condemned not just for individual actions, but for collective selfishness, lack of empathy, and disregard for fundamental values. Lot's escape, the command not to look back, carries powerful symbolism about the necessity of leaving the past behind and moving forward, even in the face of the unknown. Religious and philosophical interpretations. The narrative teaches us about the balance between divine justice and mercy, while warning of the dangers of selfishness and moral decline. Practical lessons. The story invites us to reflect on our actions, interpersonal relationships, and social responsibilities. Answering the questions raised. Why were Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed? They became symbols of a society that lost moral and spiritual balance, forgetting essential values such as compassion and justice. What does Lot's wife teach us? Her disobedience illustrates how clinging to the past can prevent us from progressing, turning opportunities for growth into stagnation. What can we learn from Sodom and Gomorrah today? Now more than ever, these cities remind us that individual and collective choices have consequences on both human and environmental levels. Practical and emotional impact. Imagine what would happen if we use this story as a guide for our lives. We could live more compassionately, with a greater sense of community and purpose. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah need not be seen only as a punishment, but as an invitation to change and renewal. Just as Lot was given the chance to start anew, we too can make different choices, seek new paths, and build something better for ourselves and those around us. A final warning. While reflecting on Sodom and Gomorrah, it's crucial to remember that the story isn't just about others' failures, but about our own. It challenges us to ask, how are we living? What kind of legacy are we leaving? Are we building or destroying the world around us? The story of Sodom and Gomorrah leaves us with a clear message. Our choices shape not only the present, but also the future. Every act of compassion, every effort to live with integrity brings us closer to a more just and balanced society. Just as Lot had the chance to start anew, so can we transform our lives and our world one step at a time. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're part of a select group of people committed to learning and growing. Comment now. I made it to the end. I am persistent, and I will succeed. Check out our other videos on history and spirituality, featured on the end screen, made especially to expand your journey of knowledge. Don't forget to like, share this content with someone special, and subscribe to the channel to continue exploring profound and transformative topics. See you in the next video.